Okie dokie, here we go. It is time for today's reading class. Hello to all of you who are sitting, waiting patiently, ready for today's class to begin. I'm Chris from IELTS Daily. If you've never been to one of these classes before, then a big hello and welcome to you. Maybe this is your first class. Well, that's wonderful if it is, and if you're a returning student, welcome back. We have an action-packed class today, which will focus a little bit on reading. And for those people who really are accustomed to IELTS Daily, you know that we have a very special reading strategy. And this strategy hopefully will improve your reading score really quickly. As usual, let me just say hi to the people in the chat who are here. Let's see who we've got today. We've got Emre. Hello to Emre, who is from Turkey. Nice to see you there. And Emre is a returning student because we can see that Emre is in green. He is a member of the channel, which is wonderful. Hello to Lynn, also a member of the channel. Lynn says that they're taking the IELTS test this Saturday. Lynn, I wish you the very best of luck. It's really important that you're prepared for the test. Tara has her test tomorrow. Well done and good luck to you, Tara. Hello to Kwa. Hello to Maya. Hello to Maya or Maya. Really good to see you there. And to Chandu. Jyoti is back. Hello to Jyoti, who is a green member of the channel. Lovely to see all of those people. The Rail Junction says, Shreyas here from the live class a couple of weeks ago. Got my results. Overall band 8. 8.5 in reading, 8.5 in listening, writing 7.5 and speaking 7.5. I have to say the Rail Junction, they are incredible scores. And I think everybody in the chat should give you a big round of applause. To get 7.5 in writing is incredibly difficult. And I know that you must have done a lot of work to get that incredible score. So big thumbs up to you for putting in all that work. And I hope that the students really benefit from our videos. So as I mentioned today, we want to look at the reading section. And for those people who have never been here before, as I mentioned, my name is Chris. And we are going to be looking at what I call the reading super strategy. Okay, that's the plan for today. And then if we have some time later, I want to look at the student question time, and hopefully you might be able to get into this box here. Maybe you can ask some questions that are on your mind, if we can. Back to today's class. So we're looking at reading. The reading strategy that I use is really simple. And I'm going to give it to you in a short and concise way today. There are some rules and things that you need to do, and we'll go through one exercise, an exercise which I've never done before, so I don't know the answers. I know a lot of teachers might go through reading exercises and they already know the answers. I've never done this one before, so it's completely new. I won't necessarily get them all right, but I hope to get them all right. But what we'll do is we'll work together to make sure that we understand what the tips and the techniques and the tricks are for the reading section. But the question is, I had a little question for you, and you're probably asking the same thing. What is the super strategy? Well, in short, the super strategy is as follows. You need to read short sections in full. And that's really important, that there is no skimming or scanning. You will find books and people on the internet who tell you to skim and to scan and to read for detail. My opinion on this is that those techniques do not work. Okay? I highly encourage you to follow this strategy. Lots of practice. Make sure that you really understand how to do it. If you don't make initial progress, if it's not really easy for you at the beginning, don't panic, just keep persevering, keep working through, and we will hopefully increase your score. So the strategy is mainly read short sections and then look at all the questions. And something that's really important is keep going, don't stop. I just want to highlight that. Keep going, don't stop. One of the biggest issues faced by people who sit the test is that they spend too much time looking for answers. What this strategy teaches you is that you just have to keep going and come back a little bit later if you can't find the answer. It's better to find easier answers later than spend all your time panicking and worrying about a difficult question. There's always going to be difficult questions. There's no doubt about that. What you should do is really push forward. And, as always, this is quite important. If you like something and if you learn something from this video, if you find that this strategy helps you and makes your life easier, the most simple thing that you can do is to just give the video a thumbs up and a like. It's a free resource, and the easiest thing to do is to just give the video a like. I would really appreciate that. So, how do we know the strategy works? I suppose that's the next question. We know what the strategy is, but how do we know that it works? How do we know that it's successful? And I just want to show you that on here. The easiest way that we know that it's going to be successful is to look here, okay? And the last video that we made on reading the strategy has been viewed 269,000 times. 269,000 times, and 18,000 people have liked that video. So it's been seen 250,000 times, and 18,000 people gave it a thumbs up because they liked it and they thought it was useful. And that really is a good sign when it comes to whether this strategy works. And I hope that it works for you. And maybe there's somebody in the chat who has used this strategy. Please feel free to share your ideas in the chat if this strategy has worked for you. The other thing that you can do, which is quite important, is to actually look at the comments section of the video. And I'm just going to bring that video up. And this is the video that you'll see on the screen now. You can see that it was filmed on the 11th of August last year, and if you look at some of the comments, they really do show how useful this strategy is. Let me look at the most recent one that I pinned, which was here. I'm just going to read that one to you now. And this one says, I came just to say thank you for your method. It really helped. It helped me get a band 8 in reading after previous 2 trials, which I never got past 6.5. I can't say enough thank you. This method is effective, especially in the real exam. It also saves time in the end. I did my paper in 50 minutes. Well done to Wanjiru there for doing that. If you look at Kalangi, well done to Kalangi. Kalangi says, hello Chris and the IELTS Daily team. I got my results today. Overall 7.5 with reading band 9. Well done to Kalangi for getting a band 9 in reading. Duyan got a band 9 in reading as well, just by watching this incredible video. Thank you, Duyan. I really appreciate the good comment there. Taranga says, hi Chris, this is definitely the best method. I improved academic reading from 6 to 7.5. Let's do one more. Who else got a good score? This is Inderjeet. Inderjeet says, thanks for such a fantastic strategy, and it does work. I got my IELTS test results and I scored 8.5 band in reading using this strategy. So if anything, it really does show that the strategy does work. It takes a little bit of time. I'm not going to lie. It takes a bit of time to get your head around and to get practicing. But if you apply this strategy appropriately, you can increase your score. It really does help. I hope that's a bit of encouragement for you. I hope that you're able to take something away from that. Go and have a look at that video. In fact, I'm going to make that video, the previous video, is actually going to become for members only. And if you want to become a member, I'll tell you how to do that at the end. But this video today is going to remain free probably for the next 6 months until we make the next video. Let's look at the reading strategy now, and I want to show you exactly how you can improve your IELTS reading score. Okay, so you will see on the screen there is a text on the left, and there are some questions on the right. What we'll do is we will go step by step through this strategy and explain to you how we do this. So we always cover the questions first, and I should probably set my timer. I just need to open a timer on my computer so to make sure that we're not going over the 20 minutes, because we're just going to do one reading test today, and that should take about 20 minutes. We're not going to do all 3 sections, we'll just do one section. Okay, so just give me a second. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to fix one thing. Just want to make sure that we are all set. Yeah, we are going all good. Thank you for your patience. Let me show you on the screen now. There's the question, and the reading strategy goes like this. We just read the first part, okay? So we will go as follows. The mega fires of California. Drought, housing expansion, and oversupply. I should start my timer. I just did. Drought, housing expansion, and oversupply of tinder make for bigger, hotter fires in the western United States. Wildfires are becoming an increasing menace in the western United States, with Southern California being the hardest hit area. There's a reason fire squads battling more frequent blazes in Southern California are having such difficulty containing the flames. Despite better preparedness than ever and decades of experience fighting fires fanned by the Santa Ana winds. The wildfires themselves, experts say, are generally hotter, faster, and spread more erratically than in the past. All right, so we've read the first section now. It's a bit of a summary of the problem, and all we do now is we look at all the questions. All right, so if I show you on the right, the questions should appear on the right. I'll just make the questions a little bit easier to read. I'll bring them up here. You will, in the test, have access to both the text and the questions, and you'll be able to move them both independently. Today, just to make your viewing comfort easier, I will put them on different screens. So we'll have a look at the questions. It said, characteristics of wildfire conditions today compared to the past. Occurrence more frequent, temperature hotter. Now we saw that in the question, so we know we're in the right place because it does say that they are becoming more frequent. It says they are bigger and hotter. So we know that this is the first part, and we should know that when you are doing a sentence completion type of question, they will almost always come in order. So you'll see things flow through the questions. All right. So the first question says, the movement, something unpredictably. The speed is faster, the movement, something more unpredictably. Now, when I look at the question, at the text, when I look at the text, you will see that at the bottom it says the wildfires themselves are generally hotter, faster. Notice that on here we've got the word hotter, which shows you here, hotter, faster, and that's exactly from the question, so that we know that we're in the right place. Something movement, something more unpredictably. And the answer there would be, let me go over here, and it says hotter, faster, and spread more erratically. Look at the word there, erratically, than in the past. Look at the word ly word, and it says unpredictably. Now you don't need to know the words unpredictably and erratically, but you can see that they both end as an adverb. So you can look for those little clues. They're going to help you. So the idea there would be that the answer would be spread more erratically. Let me show you on the screen there. So the word there would be spread more unpredictably. Size of the fires, greater on average than 2 decades ago. 2 decades is the same as 20 years. So therefore, I don't think I saw anything. Let's have a look in the text. I don't think I saw anything at the end. We didn't see anything there. And we can stop there because the reading strategy says that if you're looking at questions in order, such as sentence completion or true, false, not given, you can just read to the next part and you can just go stop at the question where you can't find the answer. If you can't find the answer, stop there. But you do need to go to the next section. And that's really important in this strategy. You have to go to the next section, which would be the next section down here, which is questions 7 to 13. 7 to 13 is about true, false, not given. And it says the amount of open space in California has diminished over the last 10 years. It didn't really talk about the amount of open space, so I'm not sure that that's where the answer is. We can have a look again just to make sure that there's anything over the last 10 years, but I don't think that there's. Let me just have a look. I can't see the amount of open space in the past 10 years. Housing expansion, the amount of open space. So my query there would be maybe housing expansion, more housing, less open space. I think there would probably be a better example to find there, but that would be somewhat of a clue. So we've finished that one. We know that here we've not found the answer for question 7 yet, and therefore we can move to the next paragraph. The next paragraph looks like this, and it's going to be in blue. Here we go. Mega fires, also called siege fires, are the increasingly frequent blazes that burn 500,000 acres or more, 10 times the size of the average forest fire of 20 years ago. Some recent wildfires are among the biggest ever in California in terms of acreage burned, according to state figures and news reports. I did remember something about 2 decades, so I'm going to be trying to remember that from question 2. Let's go back and have a look at question 2 up here. Question 2 says, the size of fires, something greater on average than 2 decades ago. What is greater on average than 2 decades ago? Let's have a look at the text, and it says greater on average. And I should note that here, I think it's one word. I didn't include that. Let me just, I'll come back and check. I think it's one word. I forgot to include that. It's very important, and that's my bad. Let me have a look. I'm going to go here and say the size of the fires. If I go here, I'm going to say the size of the fires. What is bigger than 2 decades ago? I'm going to say that some recent wildfires are among the biggest ever in terms of acreage. The average forest fire, 10 times the size of the average forest fires. Blazes, no. Siege fires or mega fires are increasingly frequent, 10 times the size of the average forest fire. I'm going to say that wildfires here would be probably somewhere around the answer, but let's have a look. Something greater. Sorry, this is what it's saying. You're actually asked to find the size. That's my fault. I'm just, if we look here, the size of the fires, how much greater on average? How much greater on average? And that should be shown in the text here. How many times greater? The answer would be 10 times the size. So the answer here would be 10 times. And I think it would be 2 words. Let me just double check that I've got the correct. I should have included that. That was a big mistake for me. I apologize. No more than one word and or a number. One word and or a number. So let me just put that at the top. I will put it here. This is very important on your test. If I show you here, no more than one word and or a number, and it says and or a number. So we know that the text says 10 times, so we can say 10, which is a number, times greater, and there would be your answer. Okay, so there is the answer for number 2. Let me just show you here. It would be 10 times. The the strategy says that when we've done that, we need to go to the next one. It says reasons wildfire cause more damage. We didn't find anything about the reasons why it does more damage in the text. So we don't stop there. We go down to this part, which is the amount of open space in California has diminished over the last 10 years. What did it say in the text about 10 years? I don't think it talked about that. I think it talked about the number of 10 times the size. So I don't think the answer is going to be there yet. Okay, so we can continue as normal. We just read the next part. And remember, we never stop. We just continue going. And I'm going to read up to about here. One explanation for the trend to more super hot fires is that the region, which usually has dry summers, has had significantly below normal precipitation in many recent years. Another reason experts say is related to the century-long policy of the US Forest Service to stop wildfires as quickly as possible. The unintentional consequence has been to halt the natural eradication of underbrush, now the primary fuel for megafires. Okay, so we've got one explanation, and I think I read the last question was something about the reason. Let's have a look and we'll see on the question. Let's go back to question 3. It said, reasons wildfire cause more damage today compared to the past. Rainfall, something average. Now this is going to be something that you need to remember, that the words like rainfall and average, if you look at the question, the text does say recent years below normal precipitation. Precipitation means rainfall. You would need to know that. It's had dry summers. Therefore, the answer would be rainfall average. Rainfall average. So therefore, it would be the word normal means average. Therefore, the answer for this one would be below normal. And we know the word average means normal. Therefore, the answer would be below. Forgive me. Let me move over here to show you. So the answer would be below average because it means below normal. More brush to act as. Now I saw the word brush, okay, to act as. Let's have a look on the next question. It talked about underbrush, now the primary fuel for megafires. And the question says to act as, there's more to act as, now the something. So my initial thought would be fuel because it's the main, okay? It says to act as, there's more something to act as. So I'm going to put the word fuel question mark there because I think that would be the answer. I'm pretty sure that's the answer. So it's going to be fuel. We'll come back and check it. Increased yearly temperatures. So we don't stop there and we say extended fire something. And if we can't find the answer to this one, we just go to the next question, which is down here. Okay, so we found 4 answers so far. Extended something. Let's have a look at the there's nothing about extended, so we just read the rest of the paragraph. 3 other factors contribute to the trend they add. First is climate change, marked by a 1 degree Fahrenheit rise in average yearly temperature across the western states. Second is fire seasons that on average are 78 days longer, than they were 20 years ago. Third is increased construction of homes in wooded areas. Do you remember in question 7, I think it's question 7, they talked about less land, increased construction. I think this is going to be an example of a true, but I'm going to show you what I mean there. So extended fire something, so increased yearly temperatures, and let's look here, increased yearly temperatures and extended fire something. We know the word fire there is not going to change. Yearly temperature you will find on here, which says right here, it says yearly temperature. Great, a rise in yearly temperature, and therefore fire seasons is definitely going to be the next answer. Therefore, we put it in the text, extended fire seasons, and then we skip more building something in vulnerable places. More building of something in vulnerable places. We should have a look here. The amount of open space in California has diminished. The amount of open space. It didn't really talk about open space in the last 10 years. It didn't really talk about that, but we might come back to it later. So more building, they definitely talked about that because it said increased construction. It said increased construction here in wooded areas. So increased construction of what? Increased construction of homes. Therefore the answer, more building of homes in vulnerable places. Therefore the answer would be, and vulnerable places, you will notice there that, for example, vulnerable places is 2 words, and you can see that wooded areas is also 2 words. Okay, we've only got about 4 minutes left. I've been talking a lot, so by the way, when I talk, it's harder for me to concentrate. So if I don't quite finish in 20 minutes, then just let me off. But this is the idea, that we have to go forward and keep pushing forward. All right, we go to the next part, which says, we are increasingly building our homes in fire-prone ecosystems. Fire-prone ecosystems is another way that we could say vulnerable places, said Dominic Kulkowski, adjunct professor of biology at Clark University Graduate School of Geography in Worcester, Massachusetts. Doing that in many of the forests of the western US is like building homes on the side of an active volcano. The next question says, the amount of open space has diminished in the last 10 years. Many experts believe that little progress has been made in readying itself to fight fires. So I still don't see anything there. Let's have a look. We could continue. In California, where population growth has averaged more than 600,000 a year for at least a decade, more residential housing is being built. What once was open space, do you remember that we had open space in here, open space? So we know that we're in the right place, therefore we can be sure that we're looking in the right place. What was once open space is now residential homes providing fuel to make fires burn with greater intensity, says Terry McHale of the California Department of Forestry Firefighters Union. With so much dryness, so many communities to catch fire, so many fronts to fight, it's become almost incredible job. This is very true. We can see that the answer here would be the amount of open space in California has diminished. This is definitely true because it talked about building more homes and it talked about less open space. So we can say that's true. Many experts believe that California has made little progress in readying itself to fight fires. Personnel in the past have been criticized for mishandling fire containment. I don't remember anything for these 2, so we'll continue reading. Always continue. That said, many experts give California high marks for making progress on the preparedness in recent years. So people have been saying that they've got high marks after some of the largest fires in state history scorched thousands of acres, burned thousands of homes and killed numerous people. I think that's the opposite of what was said actually here. Many experts believe California has made little progress. Actually, it said that they have made a lot of progress and they're doing very well. So this would be an example of false, because here it said little progress, and on the text it said it made for making progress. That's the opposite. Not little progress, they've made progress. Okay, so that would be the opposite there, and that would be false. Now if we go to the next part, which said many experts believe number 9, personnel in the past have been criticized for mishandling fire containment. Let's have a look at the next part. Stung in the past by criticism of bungling that allowed fires to spread. So it said, stung in the past by criticism of bungling that allowed fire to spread when they might have been contained. Personnel are meeting the peculiar challenges of neighborhood and canyon hopping fires better than previously. So they are personnel are meeting the peculiar challenges. Here it says personnel in the past have been criticized. Yes, they have in the past, but now they are doing much better. So the answer for question 9 would definitely be true. And I should say that 20 minutes has just passed and we have 4 questions remaining. 20 minutes has just gone, but I've been talking a lot, and that's the really hard part of being a teacher online. If I were doing this on my own, the strategy would be just continue reading, but I'm trying to explain to you where I'm finding the answers for these questions. So we might just need a little bit more time in the test. Make sure that you really push forward and that you are able to answer as many questions in the time as possible and come back to the answers if you don't get them. Let's go let's have a look at the next question, which said California has replaced a range of firefighting tools. Let's go here. State promises to provide more up-to-date. So it promises to provide more up-to-date engines, planes and helicopters to fight fires have been fulfilled. So the promises have been fulfilled. Okay, firefighters unions that in the past have complained of dilapidated equipment, old fire engines and insufficient blueprints for fire safety are now praising the state's commitment, noting that funding for firefighting has increased despite huge cuts in many other programs. So what it's saying there is that there are new tools and therefore it has replaced them. This is definitely true. There has been a replacement of these old fire equipment. The old trucks have been they've been replaced. More firefighters have been hired to improve firefighting capacity. I actually think that's the opposite. If you notice there, it does say in the text, it said, maybe it doesn't talk about people. Let's just go back there again. Noting the state's commitment, noting that funding for firefighting has increased despite huge cuts in many other programs. We are pleased that the current state administration has been very proactive in supporting us and has come through with budgetary support of the infrastructure needs we have long sought, says Mr. McHale of the Firefighters Union. It doesn't say anything there about whether there are more firefighters, and so you would have to just be careful with this one. It doesn't say anything about number of people, and the question here, it said more firefighters have been hired. More firefighters have been hired. It definitely doesn't say whether more firefighters have been recruited. Let's have a look and continue reading. It's really important that we continue reading. Besides providing money to upgrade the fire engines that must traverse the Mammoth State and wind along Serpentine Canyon roads, the state has invested in better command and control facilities as well as the strategies that run them. In the fire sieges of early years, we found that other jurisdictions and states were willing to offer mutual aid help, but we were not able to communicate adequately with them, says Kim Zargaris, chief of the state's Office of Emergency Services Fire and Rescue Branch. There's nothing there about employing more people, so we have for me now, I'm starting to question. I'm not sure about this one. It's possibly a not given. Citizens and government groups disapprove of the efforts of different states and agencies working together. Citizens and government groups disapprove. Let's continue reading. Is there anything about citizens and groups? I don't see anything yet. Not sure at the moment. After a commission examined the revamped communication procedures, the statewide response has become far more professional and responsive, he says. There is a sense among both government officials and residents that the speed, dedication and coordination of firefighters from several states and jurisdictions are resulting in greater efficiency than in past siege fire situations. So there's nothing there about the citizens and government groups, and there's nothing there about more firefighters. I'm not sure about either of these, but we don't stop there, we continue. Let's continue to the last paragraph. In recent years, the Southern Californian region has improved building codes, evacuation procedures, and procurement of new technology. I am extraordinarily impressed by the improvements we have witnessed, says Randy Jacobs, a Southern California-based lawyer who has had to evacuate both his home and business to escape wildfires. Notwithstanding all the damage that will continue to be caused by wildfires, we will no longer suffer the loss of life endured in the past because of the fire prevention and firefighting measures that have been put in place, he says. So we'll have a look at the final question. Randy believes that loss of life from fires will continue at the same levels despite changes made. What does Randy actually say? Randy Jacob says, I am extraordinarily impressed, notwithstanding all the damage that will continue to be caused by wildfires, we will no longer suffer the loss of life endured in the past. Loss of life will continue. No, he says that will not continue. So therefore, that would be the opposite. He says they believes that it will continue, and he says no, false. He says that will decrease. If we have a look at the question, it says here that will no longer suffer the loss of life endured in the past. So that would be an example of false, and therefore I would argue that there would be here not given and not given. Okay? Not given and not given for those two, because it didn't say more firefighters have been hired, and it didn't say that citizens and government groups disapprove. So I would question the not given part there. In the real test, because we've been rushing through this today and because I've been talking a lot, the strategy would be push yourself through all the questions and then go back to make sure that you are sure that you have all the answers that you think are correct. Let's just go back and recap all of those points and see if we have the answers that we think that we should have. So we go to the top and we say the following. The questions were: question 1, spread more unpredictably 10 times and below average. Let's see if we can show that we have those as the right answer. It said spread more erratically. Yes, that would be, let me bring it up here. So it says spread more erratically 10 times greater. Let's have a look here. It said 10 times the size of, and it also said below average. Okay, so below average would be below normal. There are 3 answers. We're sure of those there. Let's pop them in bold, and we'll put that one in bold and this one, 10 times the size of. Then we've got the questions which were more brush to act as fuel, more brush to act as fuel, and we can see there that brush to act as fuel would be fuel, and we had this underbrush, now the primary fuel. There is the answer there. And extended fire seasons, let's see if that is the answer. We've got fire seasons are longer, and increased construction of homes. We know the answer there is more building of homes in vulnerable places. So I'm pretty sure that those are the right answers there. Pretty confident. They were quite easy. Next, we've got this question, which is true, false, not given. The amount of open space has diminished, and the question said population growth, more residential housing is being built. What was once open space is now residential homes. So the amount of open space has actually, it has fallen. The amount of open space has fallen, so therefore it's true. Good. The next part, many experts believe that they have not made progress, and that's the opposite, because it does say that they have made progress. High marks for making progress. There is the answer there. Then we've got personnel in the past have been criticised, and the answer would be personnel are meeting the stung by past criticism. Stung by past criticism. There's your answer. Quite clear there. And we've got the word criticised and criticism. California has replaced a range of firefighting tools. That is in this sentence here. State promises to provide more up-to-date engines, planes and helicopters have been fulfilled. Yes, they have changed the tools. Then we had question 11, more firefighters have been hired. And question 12, citizens and government groups disapprove. I couldn't find anything there about more firefighters. It doesn't say anything in these two paragraphs about whether there are more firefighters or whether there are disagreements between government organisations. I really don't see those in there. And the last part is this part. He says, Randy Jacobs, life lost or the loss of life from fires will continue. And actually he says in the last paragraph, I am extraordinarily impressed by the improvements, and he says, we will no longer suffer the loss of life endured in the past. So that's the opposite. A lot of people find it really difficult to understand the true, false, not given. I highly encourage you to go watch videos that we have in the members section of IELTS Daily channel that focus on true, false and not given. Wow, we took a little bit longer there than we would normally do, but I think that was extremely useful. I think that's showing you how you should push through. It's important to remember that for some types of questions, the answers are probably going to be in order, but they're not always going to be. In this case, it was basically question 1 at the top and question 13 at the end. That won't always be the case. Sometimes question 1 to 6 and then question 7. Maybe you'll find question 7 around the place where you find question 3. And that's why you have to always go to the next section and have a look for the types of questions that you find there. I promise you, if you follow this type of strategy, I know that it seems a little bit fast-paced. I know that you have to read in detail. I promise you, if you follow this strategy, the accuracy of your reading, I promise, will go up. But the really important part is that you have to keep going and pushing through and making sure that you're answering all the questions. Do not spend time looking for answers. Let me quickly check that I have all the correct responses there. I wonder if anybody, in fact, has the disagreement with me. One thing that has been shown to me to be false here, maybe I missed this one. I don't always get these right, especially when I'm working under pressure with you guys. I've just looked at the official answers and I can see that question 12 we listed as, let's have a look. Question 12 we listed as not given, and the answer was actually false. So there was a mistake from me. We were working a little bit under pressure and fast. So the answer there was not given. So let's find that now and see whether we can find citizens and governments disapprove of the efforts of different states and agencies working together. Let's see whether we can find that. After a commission examined the revamped communications, the statewide response has become far more professional and responsive, he says. There is a sense among both government officials and residents. Ah, Chris, what a fool I am. We're reading too quickly at the end because I was chatting too much. That's a really easy one. That's really simple, and we should focus on that in the test, that it does say government officials and residents. In the question, it's really simple. It does say government groups and citizens. They just mean the same thing. They mean the same thing. Citizens and residents, government officials, and they just put them in a different order. How could I miss that? How could I miss it? I was reading too quickly. Let's have a look at the question again. It says citizens and government groups disapprove of the efforts. No, that's the opposite, because it says they are far more professional and responsive, that the speed, dedication and coordination of firefighters resulting in greater efficiency. So it's the opposite. They're not complaining. They're not disapproving. That's the answer for question, where are we? Question 12 is actually false. My bad for that one. And it happens. It does happen that we don't always get it right. Let me just check all the other answers are correct. So true, false, true, true. And easy. We got all them right apart from question 12. Well done to you. If you're one of the people that spotted it and you're like, Chris, you've got the wrong answer. Chris, tell me that you've got the wrong answer. It does happen when I'm trying to flick between screens and I'm trying to talk to you guys and I'm reading too quickly. I promise you, if you apply this on your own under exam conditions and you have your questions on the right and your paper on the left and you're reading and you're able to make annotations. Also, if you're doing it on the computer, you're able to move independently and you're able to move the questions down here. I have to do 15 things at once. I have to talk to you guys. I have to flick between my screens on my computer, and then I have to read and give you the answers, and I have to read aloud. So it does happen that in these type of situations when I'm teaching you in class, it might be that I just missed something. So, but the strategy remains the same, and I hope that it's been useful for you. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat, whether you have any comments, questions, or concerns. Let's see who's doing here. Hello everyone. Let's see. You rushed through it real quick. Actually, not as quick as we should be doing. We should be doing it in 20 minutes. 12 you rushed through quite quickly. Yes, I did. I did it too quickly. Prissy says 12 is false. Well done to you all for getting 12 is false. I knew you would have all spotted it. So well done to you all for spotting that mistake of mine. We're just going through too quickly. In the test, try to make sure that you do focus on a paragraph and that you go and have a look at all the questions. Good job to all those people that actually got the question right. And let's see if anybody else has other feedback. No, wonderful. Contradicts information, so false. Well done to you all. Good job. And I hope that you go away and apply this strategy under really strict timed conditions. I do think that you should be setting your timer for 20 minutes. And if you finish after 20 minutes and you've only done 8 questions, the best thing to do is go to the next reading section. Even if you haven't finished the first section, I cannot stress enough that you should be moving after 20 minutes to your next section, even if you haven't finished, because you may have time later to come back and finish the first section if you haven't finished it. Alrighty. Does anybody have any questions? I might open up the interview section for maybe 10 minutes and see if anybody wants to come into the chat today. So if you just give me 30 seconds, I will set up the interview section. And by the way, if you're watching this in the future and you're not interested in this section, finish the video now and go do some practice. Let's give you a link, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. If anybody has any specific questions about IELTS, remember that we always do this, and I've just put the link in the chat. here. Oops, I'll pop it right at the bottom. You'll see that the link is here. If you do want to come in, okay, if you do want to come into the session, please make sure that you turn on your camera, turn on your microphone, and be ready with a question. Super, super, super important. I'm going to start this meeting now, and hopefully you guys will be able to join me and ask some questions that may be on your mind. Alrighty. Let's see who is ready to talk to me today. I didn't quite get set up for this one, but we are almost ready to go. Okie dokie. Hopefully somebody will come into the meeting. Let's see. Hey, there's people in there already. Let's go to... Oops. Shaynila. Hello to Shaynila. Are you with us, Shaynila?
Yes, yes, Chris.
Okay, do you have your camera turned on?
Yes, with.
Let's just move Shaynila. There you are. Hello, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Very well, thanks. What's your question for us today?
Actually, I want to know about my score. I mean, how many score I will get in my speaking section part 2.
Have you had a test with a teacher or an assessor who can give you a score, or do you want a quick one now?
Sorry?
Have you had an assessment with somebody who's tested your level in your country that you've been to and asked, can you assess me, or is this the first time that you've asked somebody?
First time.
Okay, and what score do you need?
6
You need
plus.
6+. Okay, let me ask you a question about baking. Do you enjoy baking?
Baking what? Cake.
Baking cakes or bread? I think we may have lost connection there, which is a shame. This is
Hello.
a common question. Hello, hi there. Yeah. Do you enjoy baking cakes? Oh dear, I think we've got a poor connection there, which is a pity, but that's a common question. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Did you hear the question?
I want you to assess me. I mean, for part 2, how many marks can I get in part 2? How many score?
Part 2 is only one part of your IELTS test. Part 1 contributes equally as well. So if I ask you a question, what or do you enjoy baking cakes or baking bread? What would your answer be?
Well, I like to bake cakes, but most of the time in my home, my sisters, I have actually 3 sisters, so they most of the time they bake cakes, and actually 1 or 2 times actually I baked one cake, but that was not tasty. I like to learn. I like to learn how to bake a cake. But every time when I try to bake a cake, that time my sisters comes to me and they help me. So I think that's not actually that's a barrier for me to learn perfectly bake a cake.
Fantastic. So you expanded on your answer really well. You use complex sentences like when my sister comes to visit me. Let me tell you that you will be above a band 6. You are more than a band 6. Probably 6.5 or maybe even 7. So well done to you.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay.
Bye. Really nice to see that person there. Let's open the room for another person. This should be Mir Zdochinov. How do we say that? Just connecting. Let's find out if this person is ready for us. Oh, oh, there we are. Hello. Is it
Hi, Chris.
Mirsdochinov?
My name is actually Mohor. That was
Mo-
my surname.
Mohor.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Mohor. What's your question?
I just, I'm just struggling in my speaking test because I just too much using the words fillers. I mean, such as just, and how to avoid this using such words.
Why do you want to avoid them?
No, because I just I have some problems in connection between my sentence. I can, speak as much as possible, but there is no connection, and the examiner, I will probably think that he just a bit struggling to understand me properly.
You know, in real life, words like just or so or they're really common features of language and you shouldn't avoid them. You should use them naturally. So if you use those on a day-to-day basis, then just use them in your test. Imagine you're talking to a friend. So don't panic too much if you're of words to avoid. It's not really a big deal. What score do you need, Mahor?
Probably about 7.
Okay, so you can achieve 7. You're probably at the moment sitting on the fence of a 7, so no major problems there. Just speak as naturally as possible. I'll ask you the same question which I asked the previous student. Do you enjoy baking cakes and bread?
Well, I can say that my mother used to bake some cakes when I was childhood, and I used to go there to the place where she's cooked and take some, some pies and steal them. But now I just recommend to my mother to not to do these things because it's not healthy to eat them all the time. So I just try to be in a fit. So I will probably just avoid eating such things.
Good. Pretty good. I mean, there were some minor grammatical mistakes I noticed throughout. I didn't make any notes as I went through. Fluency was great, and you expanded on your answer. Some minor pronunciation features. It sounds like maybe you are Uzbek. Are you Uzbek?
Yes.
Yeah. So Russian is your first language, right?
Right.
So quite common for you to do the z. And if the students listen back, they will notice that instead of saying the, you say z. And that's a really easy fix, but it's a consistent problem throughout. Just be careful on that one. But also, a few grammatical mistakes. You're probably sitting 6.5 to 7. On a good day, you get a 7. On a bad day, you get 6.5. So really be positive. You could even score 7.5 if you put your mind to it and were able to learn some kind of more idiomatic expressions and slot them in it from time to time. But otherwise, really good. Well done to you. I'm going to go to a couple more students, but is that okay for you?
Yes, thank you for feedback.
Fantastic. Not thank you, but
thank you.
Excellent. Good job to you. Well done.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye, bro.
Nice one. It's very common. I see that all the time, and I talk about it, that the z and the th. Let's go to... We'll have 2 more people. I have a little bit more time today. We've got Jason. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
Are you Jason?
I'm Lynette. I'm right next to Jason.
Hello, Lynette and Jason. How are you doing, and what's your question?
My question is that I have had my IELTS exam in 2015, and I wonder if I can still stay on my level.
Do you mean not go backwards, or what do you mean?
Not go backwards.
Everybody can go backwards in language. If you're not practicing or not using English, then it's definitely possible. What did you score last time?
You mean in speaking or overall?
Overall and in the individual components. 8. You scored 8 in everything?
Yeah. I mean overall, the overall score is 8.
Is or was?
Oh, was in 2015.
Correct. So what did you get in each component?
In reading, it is and 8, and listening it's 8.5. Writing is 6.5, and speaking is 8.5.
Great. Yeah, so it's possible that you might go backwards just a little bit in speaking if you have. I don't know how often you practice. You sound like you're between an 8 and an 8.5, so you may not get the 8.5 next time, but you should do. You should, like in a real world. The area that you could actually improve the most is writing, and it seems like you haven't been following the right strategy. So I recommend watching all our writing videos. Lots of people are really ill prepared for their writing tests, so you can boost your score there. I don't know about listening and reading. It depends on how much you've been practicing since, but I think you could remain at that level.
Okay.
Good. Nice to see you, Lynette. Take care.
Thank you. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome. Bye. Nice to see Lynette. And let's go to one more person. And I don't know this person's name because this person's name, I think, is in Korean, maybe, or Japanese. Let's find out. Let's see. I'm saying that that's Korean, I think. Hello. Hi. Oh gosh, she's running through the supermarket. This is an interesting one. I've never had this before. Somebody running through. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Oyuka.
Ayuka, and are you Japanese?
No, I'm from Mongolia.
From Mongolia, wow! And
Yes.
your name on the chat, was it written not in Mongol
that's
language?
That's my email name.
Great. So, what's your question?
So a few days ago, I got 5.5, like overall, but I need a 6. So do you think if I prepare more, like in the 10 days, I can like go up, like to 6?
10 days? Oh gosh.
Yes, because I really need this score from university apply, but it has to like apply before April, so
What did you get in each component?
So my reading was so awful, like it was like only 4.5, but my speaking was 6.5, and other parts was like 5.5.
Well done. Good job to you. I highly recommend watching today's reading video and doing it in detail, as well as the previous the reading video that we've had in the past. Can you do it in 10 days? If you work really, really, really hard, you can boost your reading score. Do you have a 6 overall goal, but minimum 5.5 in each band? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can achieve 5.5 in reading if you follow the strategy that I taught you today. Well done for the 6.5 in speaking. What did you get in writing? 5.5?
I got I don't remember. What's about the topic, you mean?
No, sorry, the score in writing.
Score 5.5.
Yeah, so reading is your big weakness, right?
Yes.
Go and watch today's video again and again and again. Watch our other reading videos. I promise you will improve. It's possible. I'm not guaranteeing it, but you can do it.
Okay.
Wonderful. Nice to meet you. And I am going to put you back and say to all the students who are here, I'm sorry that I didn't get to speak to you all. I'm sorry that we had to finish, and I would have loved to have carried on and spoken to more of you. It's great that we get to meet people from every different nation around the world. Thanks for watching today's reading video. Just before I go, I never do this actually. I always forget and I kick myself. I just want to say that if you want to become a member of the channel, you can, first of all, if you don't want to become a member, that's absolutely fine and I have no problem. If you just give this video a like and a thumbs up, that will really help. But if you do want to become a member, let me just briefly explain what the benefits of being a member are. If you become a starter member, you get it's about $1 US dollar every month. $1 a month. and you get access to all the historic live videos. So you can go and watch all of our old live videos. I think that's pretty good for $1 every month. Then if you want to get a little bit more, you could become a super writer member. That's about $18 every month. You get all the live classes, but you also get one task 1 and one task 2 writing submission every month, and that will come to IELTS Daily. We will score it and give you feedback, really useful feedback on how you can improve. So that's just $18 for a month. That's much cheaper than you might find elsewhere for writing feedback, and I promise you that the feedback we give is extremely useful and extremely helpful if you want to improve your score. And the final is the IELTS Superstar member. That's about $30 every month. You get the live classes, you get the writing, and you get a small group session with me on Zoom twice a month. You get 2 30-minute sessions twice a month. You can come along, and there's usually 2 or 3 other students in the class, and you get to ask me some questions. Maybe I can assess your level. Maybe we can talk about writing that you've done and you didn't understand the feedback and you want to ask me questions. That one's about $30 for a month. So you get the writing feedback and you get the twice monthly sessions with me. So if you want to become a member, you just have to go to the YouTube page, the YouTube main page. But unfortunately, it's not available for every country, and that's a real shame. So all you need to do to register is go to the YouTube page and click join. But unfortunately, it's not available for every country. But you can. Some people use a VPN to help them. That's an option for you, maybe. Wow, we went through a lot of work today. Good job to you all for getting to the end. Thanks for joining me. I will be back next Wednesday for another live class. In the meantime, I wish you all a very nice week. Go and study hard. Well done for doing all the hard work today. But remember that the IELTS test, it's a journey, and it's a journey that you have to take these really small steps, and with the idea of small incremental improvements are going to take you to your IELTS score that you want. Who is in the chat today? Let's see if anybody is here. Thank you very much for coming along. It is great to see you all. Thank you to Mohammed. Thank you to Jyoti. Thank you. You said I'm the best. I'm not the best. I wouldn't say I'm the best, Jyoti. But that's very kind of you. Welcome to Marjorie, who is a new member. Thank you, Marjorie. Really good to see you. IELTS, you shouldn't limit your time. Really depends on your practice. Welcome to Latif. Lynn, I have a question relating to listening. If it's correct, I write the words that have accent marks, such as cafe and resume, without accent marks. Yes, do not use accent marks. They are not applicable in English, and you won't be able to use them in your test. Thank you to you all of these people. Well done to Kian, who just signed up as a starter member. Thank you, Kian. Nice to see you. Or Chian. Good to see so many members. Big thank you to Rohit. Lovely, lovely, lovely. For now, I'm Chris from IELTS Daily. Come back to the IELTS Daily website, which you can see is just here. And they have lots of free videos, free content, sample answers. But for now, take care.